Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about airway histology. So let's talk about the respiratory system. It is the system in which O2 and CO2 are exchanged to and from the blood. It has two structures, anatomically and functionally. Anatomically, the respiratory system is divided into upper and lower parts, and functionally it is divided into conducting portion and respiratory portion. The conducting portion is responsible for conduction and conditioning of air before entering the body. So, conduction is moistening and heating the air before it enters the lungs, and conditioning is, for example, when a dust enters the lung, the mucus holds it. So it's conditioned the air before entering the lung so it doesn't reach the inferior part of the lung. The conducting portion includes the nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and terminal bronchioles. However, the respiratory portion is responsible for the gas exchange, O2 and CO2. It includes respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs, and alveoli. Let's talk about the nose. It is composed of an outer vestibule, which are the holes on the nose that you inhale the oxygen with, and an inner nasal cavity situated within the skull, which is divided into cavernous chamber by nasal septum. We talked about this in a previous video. Each side of the nasal cavity showed 3-pointed projections: the superior concave, which has the superior meatus, the middle concave, which has the middle meatus, and the inferior concave, which has the inferior meatus. The superior concave and roof of the nasal cavity are lined with the olfactory epithelium. There is the olfactory epithelium. It is lined with the superior concave. However, the middle and inferior concave are lined with respiratory epithelium, which we will talk about later. The olfactory epithelium is concerned with olfaction, which is the sense of smell. It's composed of an olfactory neuron, supporting columnar cells and basal stem cells. In the respiratory epithelium, it is described as pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Pseudo-stratified, as you can see in the picture here, there is layers, but it is prescribed as one layer of epithelium. So each with different heights and different widths, but it's all one epithelium, so it is pseudo-stratified. And it has cilia. This is a picture of cilia, which is a hair-like projections for support, so the microbes doesn't enter the body. The hair-like projections holds them. Doesn't enter the inferior lung. Columnar, which is, as you can see, it has layers. It is a column. 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, and another layer. Composed of ciliated columnar cells, goblet cells, and basal stem cells. What are the goblet cells? So as you can see here in another picture, these are the goblet cells, and it's responsible for secretion of mucus. There is the cilia on the top, the hair-like projections that holds microbes, and there is the basal cells on the base of the epithelium. Now let's talk about the nasopharynx. The nasopharynx is continuous anteriorly with the nasal cavity. As we may know, there's the oropharynx, which is lined with the oral area, the nasopharynx, which is lined with the nose, and the laryngopharynx, which is lined with the larynx. So, posteriorly is continuous with the oropharynx. The nasopharynx is lined with the respiratory epithelium and contains adenoids. The adenoids help in protection also from microbes and other stuff that enters the body. The larynx. It is a short, rigid-walled air passage kept patent by cartilage in its wall. The laryngeal cartilage includes thyroid cartilage, which is this one in front, the cricoid cartilage, which is this one right here, and the arytenoid cartilage, which is right here at the sides, and all these are hyaline. However, the epiglottis, which is this one, the cuneiform, which is this one, and the corniculate, which is this one, all are elastic. The epiglottis, it is a flattened structure on the upper part of the larynx, serves to close the larynx during swallowing, so you don't choke. Its upper surface is covered by stratified squamous epithelium. Its lower surface is covered with the respiratory epithelium, and it has the vocal cords, which are two movable folds concerned with phonation, talking and using voice. They are covered by stratified squamous epithelium. The trachea. The trachea is right there. It's a wide, flexible, rigid-walled tube measured about 10 to 12 centimeters in adults. The tracheal lumen is kept patent due to the presence of C-shaped rings, 15 to 20 in number, of hyaline cartilage, which are these C-shaped things right here. The structure of the trachea, it has a mucosa, which is the upper layer. It has an epithelium, corium, which is the lamina propria, the epithelium, and the elastic lamina, or the elastic membrane right here. Here is the mucosa. The submucosa, which is under all these, it is a loose connective tissue. And thirdly, the fibrocartilages coat, which is this right, the third layer. And finally, the adventitia, which is the fourth layer. This is the trachea. Let's talk about each one of them. The mucosa. Its epithelium is a respiratory epithelium, pseudostratified columnar epithelium ciliated with goblet cells. Corium, which is the lamina propria, it is a loose connective tissue that contains elastic fibers, nerves, and blood vessels. And the elastic lamina, all on the mucosa. The submucosa, it's a loose connective tissue containing blood vessels, nerves, lymphoid nodules, and mucocerous glands. For the fibrocartilaginous coat, it's a dense connective tissue. As you can see, it's thick, containing incomplete rings of hyaline cartilage. The gaps between the free ends of the rings are bridged by tracheal smooth muscle, which is this muscle right here. Here is the adventitia, the upper part layer, the hyaline cartilage layer, which is the fibrocartilaginous coat, and the mucosa, the most inner layer, and finally the trachealis smooth muscle at the end of the rings. And the adventitia is a loose connective tissue. The bronchial tree. There is the trachea, The trachea is divided into left main bronchus and right main bronchus. Then there is this main bronchus is divided into the secondary bronchi or the right secondary bronchi, and the secondary bronchi or the left secondary bronchi. Then it is divided into tertiary bronchi or segmental bronchi, and then these are divided into bronchioles. So the trachea divides into two primary bronchi, right and left. Each one enters the corresponding lung through its hilum. Once entering the lung, the primary bronchi subdivides downwards, giving rise to three secondary bronchi in the right lung and two secondary bronchi in the left lung. Each lobar bronchioles divides again, giving rise to tertiary segmental bronchi. The tertiary bronchi give rise to smaller bronchi, then terminal bronchioles. And there's the bronchial tree. Now let's talk about the bronchi. The extrapulmonary bronchi, the primary bronchi, it is similar to trachea, it has C-shaped rings. The intrapulmonary bronchi, or the secondary bronchi, differ from the primary bronchi by being, for the C-shaped cartilage ring, it is replaced by an incomplete plate of cartilage. And the incomplete smooth muscle layer, the trachealis muscle, is replaced by a complete smooth muscle layer encircling the whole lumen. So it's full with trachealis muscle for the secondary bronchi, and it has no submucosa. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.